Hello and welcome to What the Tech from Boast AI, where we talk with some of the brilliant minds behind new and exciting tech initiatives to learn what it takes to tackle technological uncertainty and eventually change the world. Today, I am thrilled to be joined by Ella Harris and Kenny Huang, co-founders of TinyRex, which is an extremely talented indie game studio that's bringing unique perspective to narrative-driven idle games. This tiny team packs a huge punch, as they bring years of commercial success in the video game and social casino industry to their mission, which is to create mobile gaming content with partners around the world and, as Kenny puts it, crafting small, cozy games that our players will love. There is some serious innovation happening here, as the team created their own idle merge framework by blending the static nature of idle games with the dynamic experience of merge games. This led to the launch of their debut game, Wizard of Oz Idle Merge, which achieved a combined 4.8 star rating on the App Store. It's quite a story. So joining me again this week to discuss how this innovation was translated into meaningful capital is Boast AI's own technical solutions manager, Alia Murshi. Before we kick off with our guests, Alia, welcome back to the show. How's it going? And could you provide a quick intro for listeners who haven't caught you on our previous episode?
Absolutely. I'm super excited to be here and, be co-hosting with you again, Paul, and with our amazing clients, Ella and Kenny from TinyRex. So yeah, just a little bit about myself again. I'm actually a former gamer as well and started coding when I was a kid. So hence why I did computer science at UBC and worked at Electronic Arts and Codemasters as a software engineer. So Codemasters is in England. Then went off to New York, worked at Viacom Networks, and led one of the major apps there, which was called a Nick app, where we won an Emmy for the best user experience. So that was exciting. Then after that, decided I wanted to pursue my passion of starting my own business. So moved back to Vancouver. Launched 2 tech startups. Was published also in Forbes and Inc. Magazine, and then the current startup is going through an evolution, which is Code-Free App Launch. But basically, I help startups with their product marketing and product development, leveraging AI and no-code solutions. And I offer that through a course, which is the passive income generator for me, as well as 1 or 2 day VIP sessions to really knock out product marketing and product development at sonic speed. And then I've also joined Boast as well, just as of the fall of last year, and worked on a portfolio of clients to help them with their SR&ED claims. And to date, I've helped the clients here at Boast claim around $3 million in SR&ED claims, which is quite exciting to help them, pursue their dreams and goals as well.
That's so cool. I'm amazed how much we can accomplish here at Boast in such a short amount of time. I'm always amazed also to hear you've only been here since the fall. I feel like you've left such a huge imprint so far. It's amazing. I'm similarly relatively new to the team and started only back in February, I think. But yeah, the things we can accomplish quickly here at Boast, again, it's eye-opening. But enough about Boast. I want to learn about our guests today too. So now, Ella and Kenny, before we dive into TinyRex, Ella, could you tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and how you got into the gaming and eventually the startup space?
Oh, well, first of all, thank you so much for having us. We're really excited to be here. I'm Ella. I'm co-founder and producer at TinyRex Games. I'm based in Vancouver, although my accent might be a little bit of a giveaway that I was not originally from Canada. I grew up in England, in Worcester, for those of you who are fans of the sauce. And I actually never envisioned myself working in tech, which I know is pretty shocking probably for most of the guests you have on here, but I studied languages at Bristol University, and then I moved to London to pursue a career in public relations. Then ultimately I moved to Vancouver, where my brother Tim and his business partner Kenny had co-founded a company together called Blueback Games. And they invited me to join them. And that was officially my start in the tech industry. I really loved working there. I was there for 5.5 years. And that's where I met Ernest and Huang, who are also the co-founders of TinyRex Games. And so when Kenny and Tim successfully exited from Blueback Games, they then invited myself, Huang, and Ernest to join them in a brand new adventure in building TinyRex, which I was thrilled to join. And I love working with these guys. It's so much fun. So I jumped at the opportunity. And I guess that's how I have arrived at this point. I think that summarizes everything for me.
Kenny, same question. I would love to know. Tell me about your background. Ella gave us some insight into how you two came together, but I'd love to know just what brought you here today, what brought you into the gaming space and startups.
Yeah, so I mean, my I started at Electronic Arts in 2005. Oh, that dates me way back now. But that was like the best time I ever had, like in games. Making like NHL and NBA and Madden, and that was like a dream come true as a kid. Growing up playing like Nintendo games and Sega games and stuff like that. So that's how I started, and I met Ella's brother Tim at EA, and when we escaped the mothership, we did call it the mothership, because that's kind of like the vortex where all the startups kind of like spun out of at in Vancouver. We started a Bluebat Games, a social casino company that really catered towards like land-based casinos that can like build the platforms and do all that stuff. And it was fun and challenging. We were really lucky, I think. We work hard, but we're also lucky enough to get a successful exit, and it was one of the best rides, I think. Until we ended up being just employees there for the last 5 years, and then to be honest, we exit in I think end of 2019, and my plan was I just got married. I was going to take some time off and travel the world and just do a little bit of traveling and enjoy myself a little bit, and then we all know COVID kind of hit. We're kind of stuck at home, and that was kind of the beginning of TinyRex. Was well, what do I do now, right? And yes, but yeah, that TinyRex, I just, when we started, we wanted to do things right, and we wanted to just enjoy the ride a little bit more this time around. And last time, I think with Bluebat, we were so stressed all the time that with everything, right? Because this is the first time that we've gone through this whole startup journey. So this time, with a little bit more wisdom and with a little bit more, hindsight, we were like, okay, let's do this, and let's just work on things that we want to work on, and really just enjoy this process and enjoy the people.
I love how you put that, Kenny, too. The enjoy the ride. Make sure that you don't lose sight of that when you're running a business. Sure, your priorities are on making sure that you're actually bringing a product to market, making the business operational, but this wasn't your first go around. You knew what you didn't want to do once you got to TinyRex, and you kept your eyes on making sure that the fun and the joy isn't gone at the end of the day. And I think that's really important for gaming too.
Yeah, it kind of shows up in your product as well, right? And the people, right? Like,
yeah, I mean, I know we work in tax credits in a lot of ways, but we have fun. And I think that comes through in working with the founders that we meet, like you both. And that is fantastic. So before we move on to the nitty-gritty about TinyRex, I gotta know, $1 million question. How did it come up with the name? Where did TinyRex come from? Was it Ella's shirt? Was it something else?
Well, Ella is the biggest dinosaur fan.
Jurassic Park, yes. Aaliyah as well, I think.
Yes.
Yeah. But I mean, she wrote a letter to Steven Spielberg, right?
I really did. As a child, I watched Jurassic Park, changed my life. I wrote to Steven Spielberg. Obviously, he didn't reply. It's fine, no bad feelings. But yeah, I'm a huge Jurassic Park fan, and Kenny is as well. But Kenny, there's a little more to the story for
a little bit more to the story. Yeah. Well, I mean, the first game that we thought we were making was actually a dinosaur park game. We were heading in, and then we're talking with publishers and everything like that, and unfortunately there's like licensing issues with Jurassic Park and all that stuff, so we kind of pivoted away from it. But we all love dinosaurs. And T-Rex was too on the nose type of thing, so we're just like, okay, what's a name that can be abbreviated to T-Rex but still kind of have that dinosaur feel? So that's a TinyRex, and the fact that Ella loves dinosaurs. Yeah.
I mean, well, so do you. We all love dinosaurs, so it just works so wonderfully for our company.
Steven Spielberg is going to be kicking himself that he didn't get back.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
2 years. Yeah. I'm hearing as a refrain on a lot of these interviews that we do with founders that the pandemic really was the kick in the butt for a lot of folks. Tell me a little bit about, I guess, your passions and what you guys want to focus on with TinyRex. And then I'm going to pass it over to Aaliyah to dig into the R&D stuff.
One of our core goals at TinyRex is creating cozy, fun games that really give our audience a sense of peace and relaxation, because it's such a crazy, stressful world, and it's so fast paced. Everything's go 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 all the time, and we really wanted to just give our audiences something just to unplug from all of that. And I think that was our core goal, which hasn't changed. The mechanic of how we achieve that has changed. We've gone from hyper casual games to idle merge games to skills based games, but that goal remains the same, is to bring something to the audience that they can enjoy and relax with. So Kenny, I don't know if you want to speak more on that.
Yeah, I mean, Wizard of Oz, one of the, like Ella says, cozy was a big component to it. And we wanted to make a game that, didn't involve the traditional like killing things. Yeah, because when you look at video games and the evolution and history of it, it's a lot of killing. That was the goal. The game itself didn't involve anything like that, and we wanted to bring that coziness feel, especially with an IP like Wizard of Oz, right, to the audience that does it justice, and not have like that kind of violence associated with it. Even with the current games that we're working on now, we wanted to bring that element in. So there isn't a, we're not a traditional game company per se. We're not really going after this traditional demographic.
You had mentioned idle merge before, Ella and Kenny. I know that you had mentioned too just the mission of why you guys chose Wizard of Oz kind of being the one to kick off. But tell us a little bit about that unique innovation that went in there and the motivation beyond it.
When we look at the different genres in mobile gaming and in gaming in general, like there's a lot of at this stage, there's a lot of established genres, and a lot of established game mechanics, right? So idle games have been in existence for the last 15 years, right? Started with the cow cooker and cookie cooker, and then same thing with the merge games, right? You can argue Match 3, Candy Crush is a merge game. And then it came into like the merge 2 type of games, and so there isn't a lot of new genres that are being created, but what we're seeing is there is a lot of mashup of some of the genres, and that's where a lot of the innovation does come from. It's like you might not necessarily be creating genres, but you're meshing a lot of these different mechanics that instead of idle just being about clicking and things growing larger, now it becomes just something that feeds into another mechanic, which is adding that merge element to it. And when you take two genres and kind of like mash them together, it becomes an innovation in itself. So we seen another game that was tackling the idle merge type of and I think at that time our research, we could only find one other game that was kind of doing this. So it really was ahead of the curve, maybe a little bit too much ahead of the curve. But yeah, I think that's where a lot of our innovation comes from.
I don't think people realize that in the gaming space there is a lot of innovation going on, because people think other industries. But I'd love to know, what made like blending an idle merge framework particularly challenging, if you can dive into that.
I think you are right. Traditionally the video game industry has been the forefront of a lot of the technology pushes, right? Like whether you're talking about like NVIDIA, like with its chip, and because Doom kind of pushed that to the boundaries, right? And with the GPUs and all that stuff, right? And we talk about like VR, AR, and all the things that they're talking about, last year with the metaverse. I know that's not en vogue now, right? But the video games have been pushing that with when we talk about AI per se, right? It's been in games since the very first AI, Pawn, right? Like the very first game, like Pawn has that AI to play tennis with you, right? So so I do think there is a lot of innovation in video games. It's just a bit more stealthy, than the other industries. But I think some of the challenges with idle merge when you take two genres and two mechanics and mash them together like that is that a lot of the knowledge that we have in terms of currency economy balancing and all that stuff doesn't quite work anymore, because it a lot of those what you call loops, they work independently as a genre. Like they work in, okay, like idle, we know how that works, like and we know when the progression gets to the end game, and we can kind of like ascend and all that stuff. But that doesn't translate when you start merging into another mechanic like that. So that's a lot of what the innovation comes in, is that how do we still create something that's progresses well and is correctly balanced, and how do we create technology that can handle that kind of stuff.
Because not maybe everyone's familiar with idle gameplay and merge like mechanics. So I'd love to give you an opportunity just to explain that for the audience that might not be familiar with that.
So I think the best way to think about is there were some really popular games like Merge Town, which these merge two type of games where you're merging two houses, and two houses become like a bigger house, right? And that it's just like that progression, right? And that was really popular. And there was like a slew of games that kind of came out of that, that one game. So if you combine that and then you add the idle element, which is that cookie cutter type of thing where you don't have to play interactively all the time, and things kind of just like keep on progressing. So if you have that idle and feed it into that merge where you're earning stuff, maybe offline, that you can take to merge your what do we merge? We merge munchkins, get a little bit more powerful, and they do some of the work for you. They pave the yellow brick road, and then you get a little bit farther, and then you can create houses and stuff like that. So so I think that's the best way to describe it. Is just think merge town with now with an idle element.
Also, I think one of the innovative pieces that you developed was with this idle merge foundation, is that it's customizable on assets. So could you dive into that a little bit more?
In games, Unity is kind of like kind of democratized a lot of stuff for game developers, especially for indie developers. But what we find is the more you want to be more efficient in terms of creating content and all that stuff, right? The more you actually want to be specific rather than the generalized type of tools. So Unity is catering to every developer left and right, and like they're the world's most used game engine, right? But it's not the most used for this very specific thing, right? So what we did was we built a complete level editor that was just strictly for idle merge, that can handle all the different mechanics inside of it, on top of Unity. So it became a tool within a tool itself, and that allowed us to create content and also handle some of the challenging rules that that these type of mechanics bring, in a very, very efficient way.
Yeah, no, I know. When anybody thinks about game engines, it's like always Unity, but it's like, now I'm glad, you made a mark here for idle merge.
Yeah, because Unity can handle every type of game. And they're designed to handle every type of game, right?
Yeah. So you're going like for more like the niche type of game.
Yeah, we know we're creating this type of niche, and so we just wanted to create technology around this niche.
So a typical like challenge when it comes to game development is always really finding that fine balance of achieving like high performance without sacrificing art quality. And especially I think it might be more challenging when it comes to like mobile games. So how did you solve for that?
from from the traditional like console type of knowledge that we had, right? We always thought about like LOD and like asset optimization and all stuff. I think mobile, the trick and the challenging thing was that on some of the devices we actually started overheating, and so people play these devices and it would actually get really hot, and so we actually had to really reduce some of the assets without sacrificing on the more high-end ones, right? So instead of looking at we basically modified some of the algorithms that used in the console side of things, and use that on the mobile side, and just kind of like optimize it like on the fly and in real time, and to be able to like before they load, to be able to like kind of select the different assets and do it that way.
So, I know Wizard of Oz is no longer, sadly.
On ice. You never know what might happen.
Oh, maybe it'll reemerge. Maybe it'll reemerge, so
Testing over the rainbow.
yes, exactly. But we'd love to know just what are some of the, current exciting games that are already out there and that you're working on, if you can share the new stuff or at least the current stuff.
We love Wizard of Oz, and we love the that genre and that cozy games feel. What we're doing is we're going back to our roots a little bit. We did have 10 years at Blue Bat where we were focused on casino games and skill-based type of gaming. We're not necessarily doing casino games now, but we're taking some of the learnings there and taking some of the classic games and taking it a little bit farther. So one thing that I can disclose is solitaire. We're really big on solitaire, and we know like there's like a lot of people that love solitaire, right? And it's been a classic for years and years, right? And so we're taking that and we're seeing, hey, how can we make it modify it, make it more fun, make it a little bit more cozy, right? And make it a little bit more interesting than your grandma's solitaire. And so we're taking games like that, classic, small and fun bite-sized type of games, and then and we're just kind of innovating around those.
I was going to say, first of all, no offense to the grandmas out there.
Sorry.
We all love them. So, but yes, that's exactly pretty much as Kenny said. We're just looking to put our own unique spin on already loved classic games, more bite-sized, but still very cozy, very fun. And honestly, yeah, we can't share much, but I think we can say we're very excited. We've got some fun things on the horizon, and yeah, as soon as we can share, we'll be telling the world.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I'm excited that I'll find out when we do your next Shred claim.
Yes, you will.
Early preview.
Yeah, insider knowledge.
I planted the seeds for this, but I'd love to hear, guys. Tell us about your experience with Shred. You've talked a lot about the innovation that you've done. I know you partner with us. You partner directly with Aaliyah here on the call. What has your experience been like? I guess let's start with how Boast came on your radar, or how Shred came on your radar in the first place.
Well, I'm very familiar with IDMTC. That's something that I've put together every year for like 5 years at Blue Bat. And so I then carried that forward here at TinyRex Games. And I find that process relatively simple. There are a couple of schedules, tick some boxes, do the supporting documents. That's manageable. Shred is a whole different beast. And certainly when I looked at it, I was like, no, this is something I am not going to be able to do solo. And so honestly, I believe it was Tim and Kenny who sought out Boast in particular. But certainly from my knowledge, you guys have rave reviews. We knew that the likelihood of us having an audit was much lower if we went with a reputable company such as Boast. And Aaliyah, you have been an absolute superstar for us. Your guidance through the whole process was invaluable. And yeah, we would have been lost without you. So yeah, Shred is, I think the key is that Shred wants you to summarize your technical challenges in such a short, succinct way. Like, and technical challenges are huge. There's like, what was the challenge? What did you try to resolve it? Did it work? What did you learn? You can write essays on that. So then the skills that Aaliyah bought, like, bless her, we just sent her an Excel spreadsheet full of everything. And then Aaliyah went in and picked out all of the most important parts and then wove them together to that little summary that the CRA is looking for. And also in the language that the CRA is looking for, because it's very specific. So yeah, I think it was just the process was so much easier. And as you guys know, as a startup company, our time is very valuable to us. We're spread thin, we wear multiple hats. And so I can't even imagine how much time it would have taken to try and face SR&ED on our own. So we just really appreciate the amount of time you guys spent on summarizing our claims, which freed us up to continue working on all of the key items in our company. So yeah, we can't thank you enough.
So Boast has a really good reputation in Vancouver, locally in Vancouver. Even from like Ray Walia, we're pretty close, and Lloyd. So we already knew Boast, before signing up with them. It's just their reputation is really well within this entrepreneurship community.
That's so great to hear. And like Aaliyah was saying too, so many people on our teams know firsthand the founder struggle. We're largely a collection of founders. I'm kind of one of the outliers here in that conversation, but I think that's why we can, again, take those spreadsheets, just pass them over to our team. We've been in the weeds before. We know what the CRA is looking for. And it's so gratifying to hear that we can get you real money. I'd love to know, I guess, are there specific challenges besides just kind of handling the boatload of work and the beast that SR&ED can be, that Boast kind of helped you guys tackle that you wouldn't have been able to do at all had we not been there?
Certainly, we experienced personally ourselves the FTCAS, which is the first time claimer. Something.
Yeah.
Thank you, Aaliyah will know. And that was something we were unfamiliar with. It's just as a first time claimer, it's like a mini audit, if I'm describing that correctly. If not, let me know. But
yeah, it could maybe feel like that. The good thing is, like, you do get accepted as filed right away, so that's the positive.
Right. Yeah,
but still they kind of go through that learning experience. Yeah.
And it's like a 2-hour presentation from the CRA. They present what they do, then we present our claim, and then it's just discussing it, debating it. And that was certainly something that was very unique for us, and we really appreciated Aaliyah was present and Aaliyah's colleague Matt. They both really helped us in guiding us as to what's going to be expected of that meeting. And then also they were present during the meeting throughout. So that just gave us huge peace of mind. And we felt very supported. So
and sometimes as well, it's really nice to have Aaliyah and in the meeting itself, right? It's like if you're going to meeting facing the CRA, even if it's a presentation, even they say, hey, this is just presentation, you're kind of on edge, right?
Yeah.
Like if what I say is going to trigger an audit or like
no,
you just don't know, right? So we really did appreciate Boast being there with us, supporting us all the way through, right? Not just like, okay, we filed, it's done, right? But the aftermath of it as well.
I mentioned, I mean, this is just something that we offer at Boast, where a lot of companies, will just kind of let their clients tackle that on their own, or they charge extra. But we're there for our clients to help them from beginning to end, to make sure they get their SR&ED credits that they deserve, and so that's another reason why I love working at Boast, because I love helping founders and amazing people like Ella and Kenny with their innovation and getting that money to help them out.
I think you hit the nail on the head too, Aaliyah. you deserve it. It's money that you've earned. Canada wants to be in the business of helping companies like TinyRex, and you earned that money. So let's not leave it on the table. And I'm glad that you have a fighter like Aaliyah in your corner to help get it in your pockets. That's awesome.
Yeah, we're glad too. Thank you, Leah.
Real quick, what's your take on the current state of startups, specifically in the gaming sector? I'd just love to know maybe your perspective on what the biggest challenges are for getting a business like TinyRex off the ground in the current startup climate. I know everyone's talking about VC funding being tight, so non-dilutive is a big avenue to go, but beyond that, and specifically for gaming, what's your take?
So you're right. I mean, VC fund is always fundraising is always tough, right? But I think last year with the whole interest rate, that changed the game a bit. So this year, if you're not in AI, it's tough, right? So I know, like, a lot of VCs have jumped into the AI bandwagon, and that's why you don't see like some of the funding rates kind of go down, right? But in reality, the funds that are going into the other sectors is much lower. So capital is always tough. But I think more so than capital itself, the gaming industry, at least for mobile, is pretty mature. So in terms of innovation, there are still things happening, but most of the companies already know, like, okay, this is whether or not this is going to work and all this stuff. So what the challenge really comes to is user acquisition side of things. People have been paying a lot for to bring users into the game, and that number is just going up and up. So it is challenging, but I will say, like, people love games, right? So we're in this because we love games. So I think it's like, it will never die. It will always be in existence because as humans, we just love to play, right? So there's always going to be games that people just fall in love with.
What's next for TinyRex? What can we look forward to over the next 12 months? What's your next year look like? It's a big question, I know, but any details you can share so that we can know what to ask you when we regroup again in 12 months?
Yeah, I feel like the past year has been, as Kenny puts it, stealth mode, and also it's been a lot about survival. So I think we're just on the precipice of something very exciting. So for me personally, keeping it as vague as possible, this year survive, next year thrive. I really feel like we've got a bright future ahead, and I'm just super excited to see where TinyRex goes in the next year. Kenny, I don't know if you want to add to that.
No, I think that was perfect.